Wahahahahaha. My name is Amy too, and welcome back to Tech Synth. Continuing from where we left off. Moon drove through an overgrown road at a high rate of speed. The motorcycle flipped sideways as it did. The car skidded to a halt before hitting the side of the motorcycle's rear. This is already complicated. The motorcycle crashed into the road and rolled to a stop beside it. The motorcycle rolled away from the car in the opposite direction. The motorcycle flipped forward, striking a brick on the road. The motorbike flipped out of the crash as well, and the car continued to slide across the road, crashing into the brick wall in front of it, and then driving across the road and into the middle of the street. That's probably one of the most complicated accidents out there. And I've seen car crash compilations. I don't believe I've seen one that could be described to this level of complexity. Moon drove through an overgrown road after passing several smaller roads that he had been too busy navigating. What? He didn't make much more than a few steps before a giant truck caught up with him. "I'm getting ready to get in!" Ganesh exclaimed as he pushed to his feet. The truck was pulling ahead of him as he ran to grab the radio. Before he could get off the truck, Ganesh was hit by a lightning bolt. That's extremely unlucky. Ganesh went down in a cloud of dust. "Oh my god, I'm dead!" he heard a man saying around him. He turned around to find the man sitting in front of the truck. The man's name was Kayla? I hope it's not pronounced that way. But, whatever. Ganesh screamed in pain as a large hand grabbed his throat. Oh, I thought you were going to be screaming in pain because you were struck by lightning. The man held onto his neck. Kayla? I cannot pronounce. I don't want to believe it's pronounced that way because it sounds too feminine. But whatever. Probably a name in another language. Kayla told him to go in, but he did not listen. You get out of here right now. You're a coward, he told Ganesh as his hand tightened around Kayla's neck. The man grabbed Kayla by the throat and slammed her. Okay, now Kayla's a girl. Slammed her face into the truck's tires. Ganesh screamed with pain and blood. How do you scream with blood? "Oh, the gods! Aha, that hurts! Ah! This is it! We're screwed!" Ganesh screamed as the monster slammed into the truck. It's a monster now. The truck's windshield blew off from being slammed into by a force so large that it caused the truck to bounce off into the air. The monster ran back to the truck. It tried to run around some of the cars in the parking lot, but those would not budge. The monster continued towards the city in a straight line. The truck stopped next to a street, causing the two men to walk over to it. "Hey, get him! Yeah, there!" One of the men yelled at the monster as he walked forward. The monster stopped by a car. Who put a pair of hands on Ganesh's shoulders? The car did, and said, "Ah, that's what we are. That's what we want. This is how we get out of here. But we still won't." How pessimistic. but the gods. Ah, we're stuck. We must find a way. The monster shouted as its head fell down. What? It threw a fist at the ground. Ganesh started to stand, but it was too late. The monster grabbed his throat, and the man dragged him along the ground. Ganesh couldn't move. The monster was holding on to his throat. Ganesh couldn't move. The monster was holding... Okay, I read the same thing over again. Okay. The man stood upright, but the monster threw another fist at him. Ganesh could no longer stand. The monster hit him hard in the chest. Ganesh fell to the ground. The monster threw its head back up. Ganesh could not stand. The monster shoved him against the car, pinning him to the car's side. The car bounced down the street, and the monster had Ganesh's head on it. Oh, there. That's it. That's all we're missing. The monster screamed out, trying to keep Ganesh off its neck. The monster grabbed the metal chain on the top of the car and tried to twist it around. Ganesh couldn't move. The monster was pulling him up the chain. It was just like all other fights in the game. Oh, it's a game now. But it was just the start of Ganesh's fall. Ganesh was down and still, looking at the monster's head. He started to feel its teeth. His ears were buzzing from the pain. The monster's eyes were just open, and there was blood on the monster's mouth. Ganesh couldn't move. The monster was pulling him up the chain. Pulling him up the chain. This is a small one. Moon drove through a cracked concrete road and up a side bridge to get to a parking lot. He heard gunfire as cars smashed windows. What? And then saw a white van that was a large dumpster with what appeared to be an automatic weapon. You mean the van is also a dumpster? Is this some form of garbage truck? It looks like he was firing, but that's not possible in the heat of the moment, he said. The crash was near the intersection of Ritchie Road and Highway 12 near the South Bend Convention Center, where a person crashed into another vehicle early Thursday morning. Oh, and it caused this chaos? That's impressive. There's another small one. Moon drove through a cracked concrete road on the way to work. That made sense, because a truck like this, with a big bed and bedpan, was meant to go at night. When it didn't get dirty, and when the road's wet, which was not always the case. There were also 2 windows on each side of the pickup's rear side window. What? And the headlights on the bottom half of the bumper had to be off-center so the driver couldn't look into the rear of the pickup. This is the dumbest design ever. Moon climbed out of a hole in the ground and went to meet him with a flash and boom. Uh-huh. Riley's head went back and saw the monster turn his head and looked at Riley. That guy could kill someone who was so weak as a girl. What? The monster roared and the monster moved. There are a lot of monsters in this episode. Riley's body went down. His hand slammed into the ground and he felt his right leg break. That's not a good feeling. However, this attack wasn't enough to deal enough damage. Oh? It broke his leg. Pooh! Pooh? Are you talking about Winnie the Pooh? Or what? Pooh. What context would you exclaim that? Is the wind getting drawn out of your lungs or something? The monster turned his face towards Riley and said with a laugh, he jumped... Oh, the monster said that and he was laughing? He jumped up to the sky and let out a sound of loud bangs like a bomb had gone off. That's impressive. I wouldn't be able, well, like, that sounding like an actual bomb, that's pretty impressive. He was still attacking Riley, and just before the monster was about to throw him in a huge cloud of green smoke, which I assume is toxic, a small explosion burst from the monster's fist and hit him. What? Oh, don't get hurt! The world doesn't get damaged by explosions. There is such thing as magic. He jumped to the ground and raised his right hand, and a beam of light that was glowing green floated over his hand. But instead of glowing green, his hand melted into green. That's something. And the green went up into the sky like magic, like an ocean. It turned into the monster's body, and after getting absorbed in it, it was swallowed into the monster's body. This is 4. But before the monster was in the air, it jumped to the ground again. "This is magic!" it said proudly. However, Riley noticed something different about the other monsters. Oh, there are more than one now. His magic wasn't magic. Even if he was close to the monster, his magic couldn't be absorbed into it. "What is it?" Riley asked, confused. The monster's body opened its mouth and opened its eyes. Its eyes were like a big hole in the ground. Its tongue was curved like a fork. And before Riley said the word, the monster turned its body into a black mass. It flew up and its body split like a big black dragon. The dragon looked like a small monster called a zombie. That doesn't sound like any dragon I've heard of. This was the monster that the other monsters had been fighting. The monster's body was bigger than its head. I should hope so. And its eyes were like a big fish with tentacles. That's weird. I haven't heard of such a thing existing in fantasy or in real life. The monster's body had a lot of magic power, I bet, with such aberrations like that. The monster didn't want to give up. Because of that, it grabbed 2 objects from the ground. They were 2 books, but one was a white book, the other was a yellow book. Is this white magic and yellow magic? "This is the magic that one is going to learn from here," the monster suddenly said in a low voice. I guess I was right. This is white magic and yellow magic. "What is this?" Riley asked. I guess it's magic. I just forgot to learn from where," the monster said. It was probably an explanation about magic, what was the magic behind the books and books. But why did it forget about it? It didn't understand, but that was because it was a monster from below. And they're stupid. If it didn't realize it, it wouldn't feel any pain. The monster stared at the 2 books. It didn't understand, but that was because it was a monster from above. They're stupid too. If it didn't understand it, it wouldn't feel any pain. The monster raised its face and looked at the 2 books, and it was surprised that it didn't understand. "Well then, if I'm going to learn this magic, I'll learn the magic right away," the monster said with a big grin. I think that's how it works. Although I guess it's magic, anything can happen. Moon caught Sletter planted onions in his shoe. The little typo there. The next morning's newspaper covered Sletter's arrest. As with his initial police file, the police report for the search of his garage read nothing about drugs. No drugs or anything that would suggest he was dealing. Not much, it read. Mr. Sletter was not found at the residence where he was last located. A search of the premises for evidence was conducted. There were 6 search warrants issued for his van, along with his personal papers. 6? So I guess that you don't plant onions in people's shoes because it'll get you arrested. Moon caught Slater planted again with the same typo. Didn't catch that one. Planted onions in his shoe for a few seconds while he was sleeping so Slater could taste it. The next day, Slater was still sleeping when the food was removed from his shoes. The smell was still there. Ladder of onion caught in the shoe had not been eaten. What does this even mean? Ladder of potato stuck on a nail was not digested. Ladder of onion was not eaten. Ladder of onions was not digested. Ladder of vegetable, which was about to expire, had not been eaten. Are these ladders, like, made out of this, or what? Some of the food eaten was so bitter that ladder of wheat could not stand it. What? Ladder of onion, which had been eaten, was not digested. If you remember correctly, these ingredients were not eaten after the first 2 days, and at the first two meals, ladder of wheat was not eaten in the following days and the following days. When eaten the first 2 meals, ladder of wheat was the dominant ingredient. One of the following are not eating. 2 of the following are not eating. 3 of the following are not eating. 8 of the following are not eating. 4 of the following are not eating. Is this code? 1 of the following were eating. 3 were not eating. Ladder of onions was not ... That was getting repetitive in a strange way. I'm going to end this video here. If you liked it, subscribe, like. I'll make more videos like this. I have to edit that other video I made, but that'll probably go up before this one, or whatever time it's ready. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.